Greetings and welcome. I believe we are indeed broadcasting. Welcome to this installment of SEM Mondays live for January 18th, 2021. Happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day to, I was thinking about this earlier that, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. had the kind of life that I think impacted every sentient being on this planet, right? And yes, it's a holiday in the United States, and yet I love that his legacy, what he stood for in his lifetime, has had a global positive impact, right? And on one hand, that's very impressive, and on the other hand, it's also very sad, the current state of social injustice that we have in the United States and many, many, many other places around the world. But, I can't have, this SEM Mondays without honoring Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He has personally influenced my life in ways that are just so tangible, so just in the front part of my awareness today. And one thing, so welcome to SEM Mondays. Please open up the chat and type in 1111 or give me a thumbs up, shoot an emoji if you can see me and hear me. I'm so excited to be here with you today. And I couldn't start this without paying honor to Dr. King. And certainly the influence that he has had on my life is, God, I've been thinking about this, over the weekend, knowing this holiday was coming, and, indeed time for celebration, and yet time, I think for seriously taking stock of, how slow we change culturally, socially, and in every way. And Marianne Williamson often talks about before we can experience change, big change, there first has to be a shift in consciousness. And now, usually when she's talking about this, she's talking about social change, political change, economic change, things like that, right? Where there has to be a shift in consciousness before the conversation is heard. I completely agree with Marianne. And yet, for me, when I talk about consciousness, it's a big conversation, and that conversation can be broken down into three main categories. Certainly the conscious mind, but then there's the unconscious mind. The unconscious mind is the same part of the mind as the conscious mind, except these are truths, right? What I believe to be true that I'm not consciously aware of, and we all have them. There's no question about it. So we all have conscious beliefs that if you ask me if I believe something was true, and I did believe it was true, I wouldn't be surprised by my answer. Whereas unconscious beliefs, I'm often surprised by the answer because I didn't know that I held that to be true. I just hadn't thought about it 30 or 40 or 50 years, and yet it was true for me. And often healing for me, especially, since 2005, really, I haven't had the need, which is such a blessing, such a reason for celebration, to focus healing on the physical, mental, or emotional aspects of my being. It's just been like maintenance, right? Just staying in that sweet spot, energetically speaking. But the third part of the conversation that I think is the most vitally important is the subconscious mind. And that not only is the realm of source energy medicine and where source energy medicine shines, but it is first and foremost critically important that we transform the subconscious mind. Within source energy medicine, we certainly have technology that enables us to do that with grace and ease and in its entirety in a wholesale kind of manner. But, one of the most important things is the subconscious mind is believed to be between 2,000 and 20,000 times more powerful than the conscious mind. And yet, the subconscious mind is like the leading edge of science, of thought, and certainly of, I think, of our human evolution. So I'm highly confident, can speak with a high level of confidence to say that there is no way you can heal yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, or even financially or in your relationships without first healing your subconscious mind. And by healing the subconscious mind, then I'm able to start to heal the conscious and the unconscious. And that's true for us as a society, right? That's one of the reasons why, in spite of the current state of affair, right? Just the data, if you look at the New York Times and read the New York Times, it's unsettling to say the least. And yet, I know that we are helping to pave the way for a brighter future for everyone by being bold and courageous enough to explore source energy medicine to heal ourselves. Because the primary one, I often think about what source energy medicine would be like without this awareness, and certainly without the technology to be able to transform the subconscious mind. And in reality, there would be no source energy medicine. I would have packed it in, likely still in 2004, maybe in 2005, because I tend to be passionate and stubborn when it comes to things that I know there is potential in. So, if this piece did not come about, source energy medicine would have very good short-term positive results, which for me is like, why even bother, right? There's a lot of things that we can do for short-term positive results. And yet, I thank God every day that my subconscious mind was transformed. And, I look at every day, I look at my life as before source energy medicine and after source energy medicine. And the reason why I have not had a cold or a flu or sniffles or food poisoning or anything like that since 2005 is first and foremost because my subconscious mind has been transformed. Once that's transformed, then it opens the doorway to be able to transform the physical aspect of my being, the mental aspect of my being, the emotional aspect of my being, financial aspect of my being, career, creativity, relationships, right? Each of these aspects of our being make up the totality of what I would characterize as the one that you know as Stephen, right? This human life, temporary human life experience that I have. And yet, many, many, many experts say that the common thread with every life experience is the soul, and the subconscious mind is absolutely part of what we would characterize as the soul or the spiritual aspect of our being. And in the non-material communities, right, the non-material aspect of source energy medicine, which is the energy healing that we will be experiencing as a group shortly, our community there, which is absolutely the leading edge of source energy medicine, we have been exploring work on a soul level that we have not been able to before. And the only reason why we're able to access that now is because of a shift in global human consciousness. Enough of us have transformed their subconscious mind. Enough of us have transformed every aspect of our being that now we're able to heal in ways that even a year ago couldn't do it, right? Couldn't access. And it's not that a year ago it was lousy, and it was missing parts, right? There certainly weren't any missing parts. There haven't been missing parts in source energy medicine likely since late 2005. So, and yet we're within this energy healing methodology that is the same technology as we use in our charging labels. We can do things that we can't do in charging labels. And for example, one of the things that I'm currently very, very frustrated with is this work on the soul level can't put into a charging label. There's no way to be able to share that work in a charging label. And Milo and I have been thinking creatively about how we can share this work, I think vitally important work, with others. And we'll likely create a masterclass just around not just around, because this is like such important and profound work, but it'll be focused on specifically transforming our souls, right? And then once we do that, then it opens up the doorway for us to be able to work on our emotional bodies in ways that until we transformed, balanced, and restored the soul and create a shield for the soul, which is a unique thing with the energy work, the non-material aspect of source energy medicine, that we can't do with a charging label, right? There's no way of installing a shield with a charging label. So I am very, very, very excited for what's unfolding. And in spite of the data, in spite of the news, in spite of the current state of affairs, I know that, and this is the reason why I bounce out of bed every single morning, I know that if I can help just one person to understand this, and you don't even have to fully understand it, but just know that what the potential is within source energy medicine. And most people who have completely transformed, balanced, and restored, significant dis-ease, they're probably not all that hyper aware that they were able to do that because they first transformed their subconscious mind, right? Unless folks really go into our online workshops, the fundamentals workshops, which are now part of the Mastery Club, you might not fully get that part, and it doesn't change the reality that now there people are vibrantly well who were seriously ill, were challenged in some way very significantly. But I think the more I understand about why it is that I had the experiences that I had in 2000 and 2004 and all of these years since, the better I am ever able to understand things like COVID-19, things like economic recession, things like social injustice, things like any challenge that could possibly come my way. And a lot of people think, a common question that I receive is, once I reach my ideal energy level, right, which is the goal, and it's only possible by transforming the subconscious mind, once I reach that goal, will my life be problem-free? And, I've debated this numerous times, and I gotta tell you, from my personal experience, no, life will not become problem-free. And I think a big part of that is, and this work comes from, this was a huge gift that I received last year from Ogmandino's work, which is carried on by Ogmandino's widow, recruited Dave Blanchard, and Dave brought in his son Paul to carry forward the teachings of Ogmandino, and they're doing a magnificent job at it. But they basically share that we all have these secret desires and these hidden fantasies that are about, I just want life to be a little less stressful and a little bit easier. And Og was very clear about it. That's not planet Earth. Planet Earth is about difficulty, it's about challenge, and that's how we grow. It's how we grow spiritually, it's how we grow character, it's how we grow individually and collectively. So I recently was listening to a book, and the gentleman, I'm paraphrasing grossly, but he said he knew a monk. He was friends with this monk, and the monk, it seemed like his peace was unshakable, right? Just so steadfast so deeply rooted in his practice and his faith that his peace was unshakable in spite of having a life that seemed like there was a lot of adversity, right? Talk about disenfranchised individual. And so, he asked him, how is it that you can have so much peace in the midst of a life that is really, there's a lot of uncertainty and pain and suffering and repression. And he said, his answer was, because I say yes to everything in life. And if you really think about it, anything that I say no to is basically saying yes to the universe. The universe doesn't understand yes and no. It just understands where I'm focusing my energy and how much passion is behind that energy, right? That's the fuel. So if a challenge shows up and I throw like a 2-year-old kind of temper tantrum, which was very, I didn't behave like a 2-year-old throwing a temper tantrum, and yet, it would be a strong shift in energy for me. And then that creates, this massive resistance to be able to see that thing as the gift that it is, right? So unless I say yes to everything that comes my way, the universe isn't going to really want to play with me very well. And you know, there's common saying that to a large degree we can control what we experience day to day, moment to moment, and a lot of it is rooted in the work that we do with source energy medicine. And yet, still, there are things that will show up that are my next most natural step, right? My next learning, my next lesson to master. And they do often present themselves as challenges. Now, while I can't control the challenges, I can always control how I respond to those challenges, right? So COVID-19, I think, has given each of us countless opportunities to be able to respond intelligently and with compassion and kindness and grace. Or not, right? I mean, I've certainly seen the not as well. So, I think it's important to, especially on Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, to keep in mind that transforming our consciousness is a big deal, right? There's more to it than just I laugh because in 2004, I thought I was creating technology just for me, just to help me to heal myself once and for all, finally. And gosh, talk about a narrow view when I realized that, I had so much passion around wanting to heal myself that the universe was conspiring, right? The universe was aligning to lead me to my next bit of research that, then enable my work to go further and further. And ultimately, once I had it all together and I realized the scope of it, and it's not just for the challenges that I had, like there was no way I couldn't share source energy medicine. And I did indeed have massive resistance. I was talking about screaming no to an opportunity. Was very, very strongly opposed to doing this. And yet, today I look back and I have to just laugh at myself, like what a limited view, limited perspective. Like nothing is just for me, right? If you think about it consciously, we are all one. It's not just a philosophical notion. It's not just a bumper sticker. It is on an energetic level. Quantum physicists will explain it to you if you want to understand it scientifically, right? So sharing source energy medicine with you is ultimately sharing it with me, right? So, and I don't remember what year it was, but I remember when I made I still think it was like one of the most insane decisions that I've ever made in my life. And not just business decision, but just decisions, to have our charging label technology downloadable for free on our website. Because before that, folks had to pay for source energy medicine. In the beginning, it was about $2,000, $2,500, and made really technological breakthroughs to make it easier and easier and less expensive and less expensive. And yet still, right before I made it free, there was an investment that everyone had to pay before they could access our charging label file. And one of the things that really fueled that decision was, well, first and foremost, even if source energy medicine charging labels were $10, 10 US dollars, there are 2 billion people on this planet who wouldn't be able to access source energy medicine, likely many more than 2 billion, which to me seemed completely unfair. And even $10 seems like, it's not just for those who are financially privileged, but $10, if you can't afford $10 for something as essential as health and well-being, then, absolutely those folks should have free access to it, right? Equal access. Every sentient being on this planet should have equal access to it. And I know that source energy medicine, the technology, my research was fueled by this inner knowing that, one of the things was I wanted it to be universally applicable, meaning there's no challenge that's outside the scope of potential or possibility with source energy medicine. And that's been true since the very beginning. And I know that this technology was given to me to help every sentient being on this planet to heal themselves, right? Everyone that's interested, right? Not everyone is interested. We'll start with those who are curious first. And there's, billions who are curious, who are literally praying for what we have to offer. And the only way to be able to do it, sharing it with every sentient being on this planet, is to have it freely, openly, universally available. And it is a kooky business model that I'm still working out, figuring out how to be a sustainable model. Even if my life were to end, so that everyone will continue to have access to source energy medicine. And yet, literally the day that we made that transition and everything was online, it felt so good. It felt so right. And it still does. It still does, in spite of the difficulty, right? Because, me showing up on YouTube for free looks like it's free, and yet there's significant expense that goes into the behind the scenes stuff, right? That enables me to be able to do this. And, so we absolutely do rely on our online workshops and folks taking our certified source energy medicine coaching training, and, folks who are interested in studying our energy healing methodology. And, and we do other things as well. So, but even our online courses, which there is a financial investment in, I transitioned in 2020 because of the economic crisis that we're still experiencing, likely will for some time to come. There are people who wouldn't be able to financially make that investment. So we have a Source Energy Medicine Scholarship Fund, so that everyone who is interested in our online courses. Well, the other major change that I made in 2020 was monthly, annual, and lifetime memberships for all of our workshops, so that the monthly investment for a lot of people is totally doable. And even if that's not doable, then we have the scholarship funds to support those folks. So I'm heavily invested. I'm committed to the notion of having source energy medicine be freely and available, accessible, not just the charging labels, but all of it. So will likely be in 2021. I'm still compiling all of the notes from all of the experts who, accountants and attorneys, but we'll likely be transitioning to a nonprofit organization where your contributions to the scholarship fund would be tax deductible if you live in the United States. So, because right now they're not, and it's tricky because we're functioning like a nonprofit organization, and yet we're not a nonprofit organization. Have the morals and the mission and the vision, and I think the integrity of really good, clean, service-based nonprofit organizations, and yet we don't have access to grants. We don't have access to funding. We don't have access to enable you to financially deduct your contributions. So that you'll likely be hearing me talk about that moving forward. And I'm going to what makes sense to me, and it was not my idea, was to use our community to fund the transition to becoming a nonprofit organization, because it's going to end up costing all in all probably about $10,000. And doing that, transitioning to a nonprofit organization, will absolutely ensure that Source Energy Medicine has a legacy, because we'll have a board of directors, right? I could, my physical life could end, I could disappear, and yet the board of directors will have game plans for all of that. And I think it's nice to know that even if my physical life ended, and even if it's before we have a board of directors, that Source Energy Medicine charging label can never be stopped, can never be interrupted, can never be stomped out, if you will, can never be repressed, right? I could certainly be restricted in terms of what I could do, what I could say, how I can share Source Energy Medicine technology. But if you think about it, there are hundreds of thousands of people who have our charging label file now. So they can't come and take that from you. There's no way. At least I hope. It would require a world that I'm not sure I'd want to live in if we do get to that. But that's a story for another day. And I'd like to transition to our group energy healing session, and I received some healing requests. So even if I don't speak that I received your healing request, please know that that it has been received. And it's not essential that I know what it is that you'd like to work on consciously, right? I don't have to know about it, because when we're doing this energy work, we're in the 0 point field, which is commonly referred to as the quantum realm. And then it's really your consciousness to my consciousness, higher consciousness, right? Not the stuff that I was talking about earlier, conscious, unconscious, and subconscious, but the part that is indeed tied to our soul, that is pure potentiality, that is divine and precious and innocent and cannot be diminished or disempowered in any way, right? So, Trish, I did see your healing request, and absolutely will take care of that. And if anyone else, I know a lot of folks like to make a healing request, and some come by email, some come in our community forums, some come here. Just if you are typing a healing request here in the chat, please be aware, as YouTube warns, this is a private forum. So if you type something in that's sensitive in nature, just know that other people are going to see this, and the replay for this will live on likely for many, many, many years to come. So I don't have to know your exact challenge or your exact goal to be able to help you with that. Just you holding it in your consciousness, once we get into the 0 point field, it's all revealed, right? And you could even be watching this 10 years from now, and yet Einstein theorized that all time is not linear as we perceive it as humans, but it is an illusion of consciousness. And in a way, all time is happening simultaneously. So even if it's 10 years from now and someone is watching this, you're watching this, and you set an intention in the 0 point field, it's today, right? It's this moment. So, and if that doesn't make your brains hurt, we do have theories, we have multiple brains, but if that does not make your cognitive brain hurt, you have a far more, much more plasticity than my mind, because thinking about that stuff, because I really want to understand it. Einstein spent most of his life trying to prove it mathematically, and he was not able to. He just knew it to be a truth. So I'm going to pause here as I get things set up. And as I do, I invite you to choose one goal or one challenge that you'd like to focus on, right? What you would like to receive. My intention, my focus is to help to keep the physical aspect of your being well during this pandemic, right? So doing these group sessions is not, I can't do as much as when I work one-on-one with a person as I do in this group session, and yet we can do a lot. And a part of that scope of what we are able to do absolutely are the key critical factors that will determine your health and well-being, right? In terms of you getting sick or not getting sick, right? And if you don't understand, you don't need to know the nitty-gritty of what I'm going to be focusing on, but if you were interested, then and you're new to Source Energy Medicine, check out some of the other videos that are on our channel. There's a bunch of really good free content in our quick start guide. If you haven't started to make and take Source Energy Medicine, it's essential, right? You have to register for the quick start guide to access everything you'll need to know to be able to make and take Source Energy Medicine in your own home. So, at this point, there's a lot of content, a lot of really good videos on our YouTube channel, in addition to the archive for our SEM Mondays. So, yeah. So I invite you to get nice and comfortable. On your end, a minimum of distractions absolutely helps to increase the receptivity of this work, right? So get as physically comfortable as you can. And I turn my camera off. There'll be some chanting in the background, and that's just so that I don't distract you. And the chanting is so that you know that we're still broadcasting, right? The work is phenomenally fast. It'll likely be 5 minutes or so. I never know how long it's going to be. And when I come back, I'll invite you to take a nice deep breath. Right before I come back, I'll check the chat thread to see if anyone has an urgent question. And then if anyone would like to share what your experience was like in receiving the session, please share it. And then we will wrap this up for today. So go ahead and get nice and comfortable. And throughout this entire process, please use common sense. Please continue to breathe comfortably. A lot of people like to lie down and close their eyes, and please only do that if it is indeed safe and appropriate for you to do that. And if you're not in a place where you can lie down and get really, really comfortable, then maybe revisit this evening later in the day and carve out some time where you can get to a really nice, comfortable place. And if it doesn't feel safe or comfortable closing your eyes, just focus on a spot, whether it's on the ceiling or on the floor, and allow your gaze to soften on that. And that will enable you to hopefully just quiet your mind. You never completely quiet your mind. It's impossible, so stop trying. But simply, as much as possible, just see your thoughts floating by like clouds in the sky. And as you get nice and comfortable, and you hold in your conscious awareness that which you would like to receive, just gently let it go, knowing that it is manifesting for you quickly, under grace, in divine, perfect, and miraculous ways. And it is always you who is responsible for the healing, that is responsible for the transformation, balance, and restoration. I am serving much more as a guide than as a person in a role of responsibility for anything that unfolds in this session. It is always that divine aspect of you, that eternal aspect of you, that source energy aspect of you that is always responsible for the blessings and the miracles, the transformation and the restoration. And to a large degree, the work is transforming anything that would prevent you from being able to completely heal yourself. Any resistance, any slow energy, any density, whether it's a belief of not being worthy or not being good enough, or the thought of being a sinner. Just know that when the source of all creation gazes upon you, which is constantly and without end, the source of all creation sees your perfection, sees your sinlessness, sees the beauty that the source of all creation created you to be. There is not another being on this planet who can take your place or who can duplicate your reason for being. The source of all creation created your soul and then blessed a physical baby with your soul for a very specific purpose that no one else can fill. No one else can even come close to filling your unique genius, your unique gifts, your unique talents, your unique energy. So as much as possible, see the challenge or the goal that you would like to receive the way the source of all creation sees it, and see yourself the way the source of all creation sees you. And just know there is no order of difficulty when it comes to miracles, when it comes to healing, when it comes to blessing, because it is that divine, eternal aspect within you to which nothing is impossible, nothing is out of the scope of potentiality. It does not have to take time and effort and energy. It can happen in the blink of an eye or the span of a deep breath, and it may unfold for you over time as it continues to be materialized into every way that you can discern it. So throughout this session, continue to allow, continue to receive, and I will stop speaking as I continue to do this work. And your only thing to do right now is to receive, to allow, to be the greatness that you were created to be. I invite you to take a nice deep breath. Continue to allow and receive the blessings and the miracles. Continue to see yourself the way the source of all creation sees you. Slowly wiggle your fingers and toes. And if your eyes are closed, please go ahead and slowly blink them open and come back here and now to this time-space reality and SEM Mondays on YouTube. And while I didn't see any questions in the chat, thank you for all of the love, for all of the beautiful emojis, and sharing where you're from. Twins Mama, first time with us. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's awesome to have you here with us. My opinion is being a mother is the most vitally important job you can do on this planet. So bless you and bless your twins. It's so exciting, and exciting to have you here with us, because I know what Source Energy Medicine means to you and your family in terms of its potential, right? So thank you, Amana and Trish and Barbara Ann. Trish, I'll certainly hold your son in my thoughts and prayers. Edward and Pam and Bill and Celine and Luis, and Carrie Gale, welcome, welcome. Awesome to have you with us. And Deb and many others, far too many to mention. I love that we have this global community. I'm so grateful for SEM Mondays, that we all get to stay in the comfort and safety of our own home. We can watch on a mobile device or whatever we have access to. And we can watch the replay also, right? There is absolutely added value, really unlimited added value to revisiting either this session or any of the sessions. I've been offering a free group energy healing session since last April 2020. And they're all unique, they're all different. And one of the cool things is you get to choose a different goal or a different challenge, right? So each time you watch. And the reason why I invite you to just choose one is so that it's easier to track in terms of measurable results, right? So there have been countless people in our communities who have been watching the replay of the group energy healing sessions once or twice or 3 times a day as part of their wellness plan, if you will, their daily routine for maintaining their physical health, mental health, spiritual health and well-being, because never, ever, ever before has there been a time that we as humans have experienced greater levels of stress and fear and uncertainty and unrest. So I look at that and I think never, ever, ever before has it been more vitally important to take care of my physical, mental, emotional, spiritual health and well-being, and for my friends and family as well, right, who are open to my love and support. So, it's and I think part of the challenge is that all of these stressors, if you will, because they could all be lumped into just stress. It's been such a prolonged period of time that I think we're going to start seeing, like, the next epidemic is going to be post-traumatic stress disorder, and it's going to be in the civilian population. It's not going to be the emergency room heroes who are helping to take care of us during this pandemic. So, never before has there been a greater need for not only taking care of yourself, but for you opening your heart, opening your kindness and generosity, and I find it really difficult that we can't even smile at each other anymore, because sometimes a smile makes all of the difference in the world. But your intention and your smile is in your eyes, and your soul is reflected in your eyes. And that's one of the things that I love about Source Energy Medicine, right? It literally enables me to transform, balance, and restore everything that would prevent me from being the greatness that I was created to be, right? The best version of me that I could possibly be, and in every aspect of my life, with my relationships, with my career, certainly physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, in every way that I possibly can be. And it doesn't mean that I don't have moments of temporary insanity where, I could be mean or unkind or selfish. And yet those moments are more and more and more uncommon. And when I do go there, I don't stay there very long, and I clean it up as fast as I can, right? And that's part of the work of, healing on the conscious and unconscious side of the equation. And I think that's the discipline, right? That's the practice, right? Kindness, compassion, humility, generosity. So I'm so grateful for having the opportunity to be able to connect with you in this way. Certainly subscribing to my YouTube channel and clicking that cool bell icon is a great way for me to be able to continue to support you, not just during this pandemic, but on your journey, on your journey of healing, on your journey toward well-being, on your journey toward becoming the greatness that you were created to be. God willing, I'll see you back here next Monday at our same time. Between now and then, take good care of yourself, and I wish you continued blessings on your journey with Source Energy Medicine. Bye for now.